right? This is say browser, and this is a server one. I told in the last class. Today we are going to discuss that. So actually, this JavaScript is sent. The server one has sent JavaScript to browser. Okay. I can tell you that. Now, say for example, now this server one has sent this JavaScript to browser. The server one has sent JavaScript to browser. Now the script is running on browser, right? Clear? Now the script is running on browser. Now the JavaScript is running on browser. And actually this JavaScript came from S1 server. Similarly, I have one more server, that is S2 server, second server. Now thing is, the script which is running on browser is actually from S1 server. But that script cannot access the resources from S2 server. I can tell you. Now actually this script cannot access the resources from S2. It can't access the resources from S2. Because the script, this is script sent by S1 server. So by default, what a script which is running on browser can able to access the resources from the same server, but it is not allowed to access the resources from other server by default. Are able to get my point? By default, a script running on browser cannot access the resources from other server. It can only access the resources running on the same server. If a script is sending a request to a resource in other server, now this is called cross origin request. It is not a same origin request, it's a cross origin request. If the resources in the server 2 enables this cross origin request, then the script can access the resources. If, for example, the application running in S2, the server 2, is not enabled to cross origin request, then now the script running on this browser cannot able to call or cannot able to access anything from S2. This is first we would like to see. I have did yesterday this script now, and today I'm going to continue. Okay, just wait for a minute. Yesterday I have written one more application, a Spring Boot MVC application, but with only one JSP file. Look at this now, everyone. So I would like to open our example. See, yesterday I have created one more Spring Boot application. And that application contains only one JavaScript file and also one JSP file. That's all. Are you clear? We have only one JavaScript file and one JSP file. Nothing more. I'll open that workspace. Look at this now. So yesterday I've created one Spring Boot application, but this application contains one JavaScript file, one JavaScript file and one JSP file. Are you clear? I would like to tell you one more thing. One JavaScript file and one JSP file. And the server port number is a different port number. When I send a request to the JSP, when I make a request to JSP file, in response, the JavaScript added to the JSP file will be sent to browser, and that JavaScript code will run on browser. But now that JavaScript is trying to access the REST API. REST API is running on different server. That server port is a different port. Now it becomes what a cross origin request. And since it's a cross origin request, by default the cross origin request is not accepted. You are going to get what? A CORS error, means cross origin request error. Because REST API, which is running on server 2, is not enabled this cross origin resource sharing support. If it enables, if a cross origin resource sharing is enabled, then application can able to, the JavaScript code running on browser can access the resources from a REST API. So we are going to see, when you are creating a RESTful web service, we are also going to see how to enable cross origin resource sharing support, so that a script from any server can access our REST API. That's the point. So first I would like to show you the error. See, this is what CORS client application we created. Okay. See, this is my JSP file. And I have created a file name index.jsp. I am not creating any controller. I don't want to create any controller. Are you clear? I don't want to create any request handlers with annotations like a get mapping or post mapping. Okay, na? I do not want to do all this. I don't want to write any methods in controller. First of all, I don't want to define any controller. First of all, I don't want to define any controller. Okay, now let's start with. I'll explain you, everyone. Let's start with. Okay, everyone. Look at my point. This is my index.jsp. This is my JavaScript file I created. My file name is demo.js. It's one external JavaScript file. As you know, you can link that JavaScript file with our HTML or JSP file using script tag. And also I am linking jQuery library. jQuery is a library. jQuery is a JavaScript library. Okay. Let's start with. Okay, now let me explain everyone. Try to understand what I'm saying. I would like to in my JavaScript file, I would like to use a jQuery JavaScript library. Means I would like to use Ajax components of jQuery to make a call to server. Because from JavaScript, if you want to make any call to server, you need Ajax engine. But in jQuery, Ajax is a built-in object. So let me tell you what's going to happen now. Listen to me clearly. SRC main resources contains what? Static folder. Are you clear? In static folder, I have a file called demo.js, because when you are creating any Spring Boot project, right? I mean, any Maven project, you have to keep the JavaScript files, CSS files, images all under static folder. Now what? In the static folder, we have demo.js, okay? Now this is my JavaScript file. See, my requirement is, now this is the function I would like to execute when the document is ready on the browser. So we have a document object. Dollar is to access the object. Dollar is a prompt. When document.ready, which means once the document is loaded on the browser, then this is the function to be called automatically. And this is a callback function. This function will execute when the document is ready on the browser. So when the document is ready on the browser, this is a function. This function starts execution. It's a callback function. And what this function will do, it uses Ajax object. It uses Ajax object of jQuery to make a call to this URL. To make a call to this URL. So this is one our REST application URL, product REST API /ID. The ID we are passing 104. Means we would like to get a product with ID 104. So through Ajax, this JavaScript code wants to make a request to this URL. And once it makes a request to the URL, and when the Ajax receives response from this URL, then I would like to call this callback function. Now this function is a callback function executed after getting the response from this URL. After getting the data from the URL, then this function will execute. The function parameters are the data from this URL, status, HTTP status, and XML HTTP request object. XML HTTP request means it's like an Ajax object. So in jQuery we have built-in Ajax methods. So to make an Ajax call to a URL, we have an Ajax method, built-in function Ajax. And when the URL is executed, after getting the response from URL, then this is the next callback function executed. And here what I'm doing, now in the function is going to first parse the JSON data. First the data is converted to a JSON string by calling stringify method. In jQuery we have a JSON object, and this is a data. This stringify is a function which is going to convert this data into JSON string, and that JSON string is parsed into this object. Now after that, I would like to set the data from this object to the 4 span IDs, because you see my JSP, I have created 4 span tags. With ID 1, ID 2, ID 3, ID 4. So now I would like to set the value of the product ID to ID 1. So span ID ID 1. Product name in span ID ID 2, then price in ID 3, and manufacturer in ID 4. Right. So this JavaScript is now going to set. We'll first parse the JSON string. We'll store the data in an object, and from that object we can access the values of each and every key of the JSON string, and we would like to set those values to ID 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let us run. Okay, let us run. What we want to do now, we would like to start our REST application. We also want to start our CARS client application, and we like to send a request to JSP file. And as you can see, the server port number is 2627. This client application server port number 2627, and the context path is a /cars. Are you getting my point? /cars. So server.servlet.context path is /cars. First, what we want to do, we will like to start the PMS REST application. Okay. I want to run it as what? A Spring Boot application. Now you know this application started and running on the port number 2324 with the context path product REST API. Now I can tell you this server is running. PMS REST application is running. I would like to run this CARS client application. Now you know this server is running on the port number 2627. Are you clear? This is running on what? The port number 2627. Now what I just want to do, what I want to do is I would like to open the browser to send a request to index.jsp file. HTTP localhost 2627 CARS index.jsp. Directly we want to make a request to index.jsp file. But to the index.jsp file, what JavaScript file is included? See, I have included the JavaScript file to index.jsp file. Am I right? Now what happens when I make a request to this URL? With response, JavaScript code also will be sent to browser and script will run on browser. But that script is trying to call a resource at port number 2324. It's a different server. And moreover, in that REST application, we have not enabled CARS support. Because CARS support is not enabled, now the script is not allowed to access that REST API. Now the script is finally going to get an error. That's called CARS error. I'd like to show you that. See, first page loaded. But it's not going to set any data for product ID, product name, price, manufacturer. I got an error here. If I would like to open that error, means if I want to show that error, I like to show that error. I'll tell you. Right. Now I like to show that error, means CARS error I like to show. Here you are finding an error here. The error which I would like to show here, access to XML HTTP request at 2324 product REST API 104 from origin 2627 has been blocked by CARS policy. This is called what actually? CARS error. Okay, now this is what you got, CARS error, CARS policy. So why this CORS error is occurred? Because whatever the REST API which I created, that API not enabled what? Cross-origin resource sharing support. If, for example, this server 2324 product REST API 104, whatever the URL, if CORS support is enabled, then the script running on browser from any server can access my REST API. But my REST API is running on one server, script is from another server. By default, it is not accepted. By default, it is not allowed. And suppose if you want to make your REST API accessible to the script running on browser from any server, then you can directly enable CORS support in your REST application. Now I would like to tell you how to enable. Right now, it's not enabled. That's the reason why there is an error. And we can see the error on this browser console with the Control-Shift-J. Now we can see the error. And mainly this is blocked by CORS policy. CORS stands for Cross-Origin Resource Sharing. Nice. Let me close this. I'll close this browser also. Now I would like to open my PMS REST application. And here I would like to tell you how to enable CORS. See, in your REST API, whatever the endpoints of your REST application which you want to allow the scripts running on browser from any server to access your REST endpoints. Whatever the endpoints you want to allow them, you just add annotation @CORS mapping at method level. Okay, at method level. I would like to tell you that is one way. Otherwise, if you want to allow all endpoints in a REST controller, you want to add CORS support for all endpoints of your REST controller, then you can add what? Add @CORS mapping annotation at what? REST controller class level. Third one, you have multiple REST controller classes and you want to enable this CORS support to all the endpoints available in your application in multiple REST controller classes. Then you can enable globally. I will tell you all these three ways. So finally, what in a REST application, in Spring REST application, CORS support can be added in three ways. Now I would like to tell you those three ways of adding this CORS support. Okay, now we'll start with that. We'll start with that. Okay, we'll start with that. I like to open my REST controller, product REST controller. Okay, I would like to open my REST controller. Let me tell you now. Listen to me clearly. Suppose I want to allow this REST endpoint. I want to allow this endpoint to be accessible for the scripts that are running on browser. Then I have to add annotation here @CORS mapping. Now @CORS mapping annotation has elements. Okay, it has elements. @CORS mapping. @course mapping annotation. We have annotation called course mapping. We have annotation at the method level or at the class level also we can have the annotation. Annotation name is course mapping. We have annotation like course mapping or course mappings. So I have annotation. Let's check for the annotation. Sorry, it's like cross origin annotation name, not course mapping. See, cross origin. At cross origin, cross origin, this annotation which we are using, cross origin, and this cross origin annotation has an element called origins is equal to. Now here you can provide right. You can provide the origins names here. Cross origin. Cross origin. We get origins is equal to. We can provide a list of origins now. Okay. Origins is equal to, we can provide list of origins here. For example, http:// localhost : 2627. So this is one origin. If you want to provide list of origins, then you can use a curly braces. And you can pass origin 1, comma, origin 2, comma, like that. Origin string 1, comma, origin string 2, like that. Right. Then you can add another origin like http://. For example, facebook.com. Like this, you can provide list of origins. Suppose you would like to allow any origin, means the script from any origin can access this endpoint, test endpoint. To allow all origins to access this REST endpoint, we would like to add an asterisk symbol. Means any allowed origins are all. And if you add this annotation at method level, only this one endpoint of this REST controller is accessible to the script running on browser from any origin. If you want to make all endpoints defined in this REST controller, you want to enable all endpoints of this REST controller with core support. Then add the same annotation. at this REST controller class level. So what? At the rate cross origins is equal to asterisk. Are you clear? Now this is called at the rate cross origin. Okay, now this is at what controller class level. If you add this annotation at controller class level, what all the endpoints defined in this controller, REST controller, enables cross origin resource sharing support. Suppose in your application you have multiple REST controller classes. Each REST controller class will define some endpoints. Now you want to allow all the endpoints defined in all the REST controllers. You want to enable with CAR support. Then instead of writing this CAR cross origin annotation at each REST controller class level, you can do it globally. Globally means in Spring Boot application. Generally, that is a preferred way. So I would like to keep a comment here. Now I'll open my Spring Boot application class. Now this is my Spring Boot application class. Now this class I have to implement from WebMVC configurer. I have to implement this. Actually, this is an interface, and this interface has all callback methods, and they are all default methods. Now this interface contains all default methods only, but no abstract methods are there. All the methods in this interface are all default methods. Here I am going to override this method, add parse mappings. Okay, now this is a method I'm overriding. Remember, it's a default method in this MVC configurer interface. WebMVC configurer interface as default. This interface contains all default methods only. There are multiple methods are there. All the methods are default methods only. Now this interface doesn't have any abstract method. It has all default methods only. So I want to override this default method. Now this is nothing but what you are going to enable parse support globally for your entire Spring Boot application. Now your Spring Boot application may have any number of endpoints, any number of REST controller classes, but all the endpoints of all the REST controllers are enabled with parse support. This is called global. We are going to enable parse support globally. So what, registry dot add mapping, and the pattern I'm writing simply asterisk. Asterisk means anything, all the endpoints. All the endpoints. Add mapping. The path pattern is / anything. Means all endpoints. Now you can specify which origins are allowed to the endpoints. Say allowed origins. Any origin, asterisk. So what does it mean now? All endpoints, all the paths are enabled with CAR support. So add all these mappings and allowed origins to parse registry. Right, okay. this is called what? Enabling car support globally, right? We'll move on. Now I would like to start. Are you clear? I would like to start this REST application server. And you know already my PMS client is running, my PARS client is running. Now look at this PARS client is running, and this client application running on the port number 2627. Right? And this REST application server is running on the port number 2324. Okay, let's open the browser again. We'll make a request now. We would like to send request to index.jsp file running on port 2627. /cos/index.jsp, right? I would like to press enter. See, I got the response now. Actually, you have observed a fraction of second difference. What happened here? First page loaded, and then data is updated on the page at the different span IDs. I would like to show once again otherwise. We can find the difference. First page loaded. Whenever page loaded, JavaScript code starts execution, because the JavaScript code runs when the document is ready on the browser. See, first page loaded, then data is printed on that. Better to open the browser again. When I press enter, it's just a fraction of second difference only. First page loaded, then immediately data will be updated on the page. Right. Now, if I say Control Shift J, now this is not my application error. It is favicon.ico error, but not my REST endpoint error. For the REST endpoint, I'm not getting any parse error here. Now we can see there are no errors now. If you find any parse error, you will get an error here, and error message says parse policy. But now there are no errors now, and we got the response. For example, if you like to change, you can change that ID. I'll open the script running on the browser. In parse client, we have script running on browser, and here sending the request to the product ID 104. I would like to send request to product ID 101. Okay, then again I would like to send a request to the index.jsp file. Okay, now you see this time I got the product ID 101 data. Just I would like to show that this is called cross origin resource sharing support. Okay, and with this we concluded the point of what cross origin resource sharing. In how many ways it can enable means in 3 ways. The 3 ways of enabling are what? The one way to enable is at REST controller methods. Second one at REST controllers. See, at REST controller methods and at REST controller classes, both are going to make use of same annotation. That is called cross origin, right? The annotation used is what? Cross origin. The annotation is cross origin, right? Cross origin. Now this annotation used. Now coming to third one. You can enable globally at a Spring Boot application class. So totally, it can be enabled in how many ways? Of 3 ways. And more frequently that we are going to use, more frequently we are going to make use of the third approach at Spring Boot application class. Okay now, everyone, right? This is called what? Cross origin resource sharing support, right? What does it mean? The meaning is when you make any request, the script running on browser, okay, the script running on browser, JavaScript running on browser can able to call the REST endpoints running on different servers. By default, the REST endpoints are not allowed. The REST endpoints doesn't accept that request. But if once you enable with core support, then they allow the scripts running on browser from different servers can access or can call the REST endpoints. This is called cross origin resource sharing support. Okay now, right? So this is the pointed example what we have discussed today. And in the session tomorrow, I will like to I'll post this application to you. You can just verify this cars client and I think REST application I've already posted. REST application remains the same. Just only the change is I no need to post this application again. The only change is just implement this class from WebMVC configurer to override this method. Okay. This is the change required in REST application, right? This is the change required in REST application, and that's the reason why I'm not going to post this REST application again, which is already posted, still available in the group URL. Now, what I'm going to post you is yesterday we completed client application through REST template object, and a cars client today, which also contains a JavaScript code running on browser to access the Spring REST API available on different server. Both I will post. 2 clients I'll post you. One is a PMS client and next one is a cars client. Okay, I'm going to post it now. You can go through the code once and try to understand and execute it. So in the session next tomorrow, we'll see how to prepare documentation for the REST API using Swagger. Swagger is a tool. Otherwise, Swagger is a specification, and using Swagger specification, we can prepare documentation for the REST API automatically. We'll see how to prepare documentation for REST API using Swagger. That's the next. Swagger annotations. Tomorrow we focus on Swagger. right? Then we'll start about how to provide security, and then how to add caching. Then finally, the same application we'll have to connect with MongoDB server. Right now we are using Oracle as a backend server. Next we are going to use MongoDB as a backend server. Okay, na? That's called NoSQL server. These are all the various things that we are going to see as part of this Spring REST applications. Okay, na? Right. That's it for the session today. We will continue the session tomorrow. Okay. We will continue our session tomorrow. Tomorrow I will start session early. I have just today only completed the morning session at 7 to 8:30 session. That is closed today. That session is closed, completed. So, and now I can start your session more early. At 8:30 only I'll start the session. Okay. Tomorrow I'll start the session at 8:30 only. Not at 9 o'clock, at 8:30 only. I have no session tomorrow at morning 7 to 8:30. That session is closed today. That batch is closed. It's completed. So from tomorrow I'll start the session at 8:30 only morning. Okay. From 8:30 to 10 o'clock I'll continue the session. Okay. That's it for now. That's it for today.